Welcome back to Making It Awkward. I'm your host, Jessica Wilson. Today is the first in our new Re-Grifting series, and you can watch our editor, Jen Jacobs, and I talk about Dr. Mark Hyman on YouTube and Spotify. A quick podcast highlight for me. It was only after last week's episode about bird flu and pet safety aired did articles about the topic start popping up in news outlets. I love that we were able to bring important conversations with experts to you before mainstream news is doing so. If you're interested in more information about bird flu, virology, and raw milk, you can check out my interview with Dr. Sarah Doherty last week and keep your pets safe. Now, Dr. Mark Hyman introduced himself to me last fall after the Time magazine article about how experts cannot pinpoint what an ultra-processed food is. It also detailed my month of eating ultra-processed foods. Just hours after the article's release, Mark took to social media to address his followers and show that he didn't actually read the article, but needed to talk about it anyhow.
Hey, everybody. I just got to chime in here on this horrible article. It was in Time magazine. Probably seen a lot of people talking about it, but it was about ultra-processed food and essentially was saying that it wasn't so bad, that what's the big deal? I ate it for a week, a nutritionist did it, and it's ridiculous. You know, it really downplays the dangers of ultra-processed food. There's literally hundreds and hundreds of extensive research linking ultra-processed food to all kinds of serious health risks like obesity, depression, cancer, type 2 diabetes. I've done a number of podcasts on this. You can listen to those. It's astounding that they would say that this is okay. Just even in the last year, many studies have shown the dangers of long-term consumption of ultra-processed food. And this whole article was just kind of a misleading anecdote about a person who decided to try to eat ultra-processed food for a week and see what happens. And the author really tries to employ the perspective of this registered dietitian, and that is saying we shouldn't shame people who eat ultra-processed foods. And by the way, this is exactly the talking points of the food industry. I can tell you that this is something that I've talked about before. It's been on previous podcasts, but they basically hire and fund nutritionists. 40% of the information you're getting from registered dietitians on social media is coming from paid nutritionists who are paid by the food industry. Now, this woman in the article said that she ate ultra-processed food for a week and felt fine. But that's not how people eat it. They eat it for their whole life, not just a week. You can't get cancer in a week. You can get cancer over a lifetime. Now, and this confuses the reader and says, oh, it's not so bad. You know, there's no real definition of ultra-processed food. It's nonsense. There's many definitions, including NOVA classification, which is developed in Brazil. And it's not that complicated. Now, they also say there's not enough research. We need more research, or not all processed foods are that bad. Well, you know, certain things may not be that bad if they're processed, right? Like can of tomato sauce or can of sardines, but it's all the weird science projects that are in there and all the addictive ingredients and all the things that are actually hijacking your metabolism, your brain chemistry, and your body. Basically, it's the body snatchers. Now, there's an article this article I mentioned talks about Chris Van Tulken, who's really a brilliant physician from the UK, and he basically says, you know, obviously not all ultra-processed foods are created equal. Some of them are not as bad for sure, but the combination of sugar, salt, and bad fats and refined oils is really harmful because it hijacks our brain chemistry. It leads to addictive eating, overeating, and chronic health issues. Now, it is hard to eliminate these, right? And Chris Van Tulken wrote a book called Ultra Processed People, and he agrees that, you know, abolishing it isn't practical, although I would love to do that, actually, which is eat real food. But we can replace it with healthy, affordable whole foods. I'm going to actually have Chris on the podcast this October to discuss this more, so keep an eye out for that. Now, some big food companies are doing the right thing. They're trying to make ultra-processed foods with better ingredients like lesser evil or simple meals. But honestly, most of these are just Franken foods with mile-long ingredient lists and combinations of refined oils, trans fats, refined flour, sugar, preservatives, additives, really bad stuff. Now, what I'm working on in Washington with my Food Fix campaign is actually improving food labels, consumer education, and there's a really important need for that. In other countries, they do warn on the label if it's bad for you. They literally have these black box warning signs. It's like a stop sign that says, don't eat this, right? It's got too much sugar, too much salt, too much processed ingredients. So we're working on a food labeling program with the FDA So hopefully that'll get through. They're going to probably not do everything I want, but any win is good, I think, in this area, because we want to educate consumers how to read and understand these labels so they can make healthier choices. And it works. When you do this, people eat less of this crap. Also, we need to advocate for healthy foods, right? The solution isn't just eliminating ultra-processed foods, but making whole foods and healthy foods accessible to everybody. And this is part of my work as my nonprofit, the Food Fix campaign, to really treat food as medicine, create a sustainable, health-focused approach to food, and help people understand the dangers of ultra-processed food. So if you read that article and you think it's fine to eat ultra-processed food, ignore that article. Listen to my podcast. I've talked about this. Look at all the scientific references that are noted in there. There's no debate that ultra-processed food and the lack of healthy foods is the number one killer in the world. This is from the Global Burden of Disease Study, looked at 195 countries. And it basically kills 11 million people a year. So whoever says this is fine is just BS.
Now, there are many classy moments in this video, including saying that I did the experiment for a week multiple times. But my favorite is when Mark tells us that the academic researchers in the article are spouting nonsense when saying there isn't clarity on defining an ultra-processed food because, wait for it, there are many definitions for ultra-processed foods. Bro, you just proved the point. If there are many definitions for something, it means that we're not set on one. So which is it? To kick off this series, I chose Mark, not just because he introduced himself to me, but because he's been to Congress recently and was part of the foodfluencer stunt that influenced the FDA's ban of red dye number 3. And this month, Mark has made his support for RFK Jr. clear. The New York Times recently published an article about how their bromance developed and their collaboration since. Mark's Instagram followers had a reaction to the article that I wasn't expecting. Mark's business ventures netted $28.8 million in 2023, something we can all imagine will increase as his new tech health venture, Function Health, gains membership. Function Health offers a bunch of lab tests for members, and you have to apply to become one. On the FAQs, my favorite is a question about insurance. The website says Function Health is 100% insurance free. There's no deductibles and no copays, which sounds nice. It is a very friendly way of saying you're on your own biscuits. This is out of your pocket. Also, Function Health will not provide you a diagnosis for anything. Cool. We'll get into a bit about the red dye ban, but it truly needs its own episode, including one about how to interpret research. And this re-grifting episode wouldn't be complete without a mention of religion and the tie to purity culture inherent in a lot of our food stuff in society. Stay tuned at the end of the episode for some Mark updates that have come out just in the past couple days. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Jen, welcome to this side of the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so glad that you are the person that I get to talk to about my first re-grifter, Dr. Mark Hyman.
Yes, our favorite person.
I didn't know about him other than just a name until he decided to introduce himself to me on a Wednesday, when he just, had to chime in. As folks, yes, we'll hear in that video. I sent him to my editor, my book editor, because she's been around the wellness book and everything circle for a while. And she was like, oh, no, he is that guy. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. That guy decided to chime in on my life. This is, either flattering. Well, no, definitely fun. 2, flattering, and 3, like, why are you worried about this, bro? Like, what does this have to do with you and your brand? Because now you just made it.
Are you threatening him? Is something
right?
Something popped up to him that he was like, I gotta say something,
right? Because none of this is relevant to your content. Like, you are coming in as this guy who will solve problems. And how do I have to do anything with that? So first, just interesting. I appreciated it for sure. And I will, the episode art for this will be his shirtless, his shirtless moment on horseback.
Hey, it makes me trust him. He's got
Yeah.
nothing to hide.
Yes.
Clearly.
A 65-year-old man with abs. Therefore, he knows what he's talking about. Similar to RFK showing us his naked upper half. Maybe
That
it's
is
a thing.
immediately where my mind went. I was like, oh, geez, it's like the CrossFit video that RFK did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Maybe this is just a thing. People need, in the bro sphere, he's got his beard going on now. So maybe he's just like entering a new phase of his life. We'll say that.
Yeah. Do you think like on their resume, they, instead of having like a little headshot, they have just a picture of their abs to prove they are the epitome of health?
Yes, I like that. That's what you're submitting before you can go on a bro podcast for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like it. That's perfect. So I did not put this connection together. Someone saw that picture of Mark, made this connection.
Oh, no.
Can you describe what you're seeing for us?
Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin. Also on a horse with no shirt.
Yeah.
Looking really cool with some sunglasses in some of the shots. I will say, not as many abs in this one. Too bad. That's too bad.
Yeah. So maybe Mark was looking to, establish his dictatorship over functional medicine or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I believe it. Yeah.
Wow. Good time. Shout out to the person who made that connection. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
So this guy, Dr. Mark Hyman, is a medical doctor and prolific author who has written a book, about a year for 20 years. He's got a bunch out there.
Do you think he's writing his books?
Yeah. I feel like the same person writing his books is the same person doing his content on social media, but we'll get there.
Okay. He's the R.L. Stein of the medical world, perhaps. Just churning out books.
Love it.
You get a formula and it works. You just do it, right?
No, and that is absolutely one of his strong points, putting out books. His social media is anytime he wants engagement on something, he says, drop a yes in the comments if you agree. And either it's just drop a yes or drop a yes and I'll send you, I'll DM you a link to my latest podcast. That latest podcast is truly just like you go to his podcast and you click on it. What is you just want him to text you, him to DM you?
Engagement is everything.
Right. Speaking of my favorite Mark engagement, I sent it to you. The New York Times recently came out with an article titled, "He Built a Wellness Empire While Adventuring with Robert F. Kennedy Jr." about Mark Hyman. And Mark put it on his social media to advertise and say thank you for featuring me, New York Times. And the number of people in Mark's comments who were surprised and aghast and devastated that Mark would align himself with somebody who believes in pseudoscience was fascinating to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I think you sent this to me and I scanned through the comments because it's that weird overlap that we've been seeing where it's like the crunchy hippie has become the RFK supporter, but doesn't align with it. It's very confusing.
I figured the fans would be a circle.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
The Venn diagram was going to be a circle. The same people who were invested in Mark would be into RFK because he's, pushing the envelope and advocating for the people. Similar.
And they literally wrote a book together.
Right.
And are both anti-vax and are
think
both
autism isn't autism or whatever is happening to them. Yeah.
Well, hey, when RFK was growing up, autism wasn't a thing. People didn't have it.
They didn't have chronic illnesses.
No.
What that feedback from Mark about his connection to RFK showed me is that people think Mark's science is science and science. Like, it's hard science. It's indisputable science. The things that he is talking about under this umbrella of functional medicine, they believe are like the secrets that the government or big
immortality, because
are keeping from us, and that Mark is doing this work. There was somebody in there who said, Mark, because of your work, I went to grad school, med school, and studied, medicine because of you so that I could do this functional medicine. And I'm just so disappointed in you and your association with this guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Make it make sense, right?
What? So
functional medicine, I think at its core, is not a bad idea if you just took it at face value.
It's better than dysfunctional medicine.
True.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand people want to know how to optimize their bodies and look for things, even though there's not symptoms to suggest that it's something functionally wrong. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But where I get caught up is that they think, I don't know, traditional medicine, whatever they're calling it on their side,
mm-hmm.
they think it's only treating symptoms.
Only drugs.
But that's not true. You are given medicine to help you put a Band-Aid on a problem, and you continue looking for the source of that problem.
Mm-hmm.
As a person with chronic health issues, I can tell you keep looking for an answer.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, I don't want to get worse because I could I can make my day-to-day living easier by dealing with the symptoms while I try to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
Without spending, I can't even imagine how much money on tests.
Oh, let me tell you. Don't worry. I got you. So functional medicine restores healthy function by treating the root causes of disease. Root causes is like the theme of the situation. Yeah. Yes. You just don't know what's wrong with you until we tell you. Jen, if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling fatigued, if your sleep isn't that great, if you're feeling a bit depressed or sad, all of these things are indications that you would benefit from functional medicine. Okay.
Wow. And I feel like there's so few people that can fit into those categories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I'm like, this is people who have jobs, also, chronic illness, long COVID, but also children, right? Like, this sounds like everything that my friends are telling me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you're not rich.
I was going to say, the only people are the ones that capitalism benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones who don't have to deal with that fatigue.
Right.
They can just put their head down on their $800 pillow every night.
Yes. After they've done their red light therapy.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Yes. So then you can get tons of lab tests that don't have costs anywhere that I can find them. Yes. And then you get an in-depth version of your health. And then you can buy a sauna. You can put your phone away before bed. You can stop eating gluten, maybe more fruits and vegetables, minimally processed foods, and $500 a month in supplements. And, and feel better. And I'm like, wait, like, how does that sound bad except for the gluten piece? That one's silly. But like, I think a lot of us would feel better if we had the money for a sauna. If we got $500 a month in supplements, even if that just had vitamin D, I'd probably feel better. Fruits and vegetables, like revolutionary. Minimally processed foods. I don't know where he gets this information.
It's astonishing, really, because who knows this stuff? Why is the secret being kept?
Right.
It seems really unfair.
He's so smart to think that fruits and vegetables. Oh.
And then this is what brings me into another loop. So there's all these supplements and stuff that are going to help us get to our root causes.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like they also, most of these people in functional medicine, has that idea of like, we need to go back. We need to make America healthy again, which is implying that it once was. And these supplements did not exist. So how come we can't solve this problem with whatever magical tool was in place, whatever, 50, 100 years ago. I don't know what date exactly.
When was the, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how can you believe both of those things? That we all need to optimize via supplements, but also we need to go back to how it was.
Mm-hmm. Because big food.
Oh, right. Big food. Oh, my God. That's right.
So we need to go back before it was big food because the people were thriving then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark has his personal stack of supplements for you. Vitamin D Supreme, HTB Rejuvenate, Athletic Pure Packs, Homocysteine Supreme, Senolytic, Synergy for your...
Oh, if you can't pronounce it, you shouldn't be taking it.
If my grandmother didn't have it in her cabinet. Oh, I mean, yeah. Omega-3 Rejuvenate, Microbiome Rejuvenate, Renewal, spelled RENUAL. Okay. CoQ-Null 200, beneficial for reversing COVID-related fatigue. That one. Yep. Seed. And so the seed. Yep. Seed. Ugh. I don't want to think about that. And then, yeah.
I thought it.
No,
wasn't going to say it, but.
I mean, all of their obsession with, more babies. Yeah. Anyhow. Yeah. And the last one is Wonderfeel, Younger NMN. Some benefits of a daily regimen can manifest in a variety of ways, including increased energy levels, improved organ function, better cognition and memory, improved sleep elasticity, sleep quality, and insulin sensitivity. In a supplement.
It sounds like you're going to be the next member of the X-Men, honestly.
And have Hugh Jackman's abs.
The abilities that you will acquire. Beautiful.
Yes. So all of those come in a 1 month or 2 month supply.
Okay. Yeah.
Originally listed at $852, but
it's so cheap, so convenient.
Yeah. The sale price was $767.
Now I will say it wasn't super recently. I did go look up those supplement, some of them that I know just exist on the shelf at Walmart, whatever, to compare the pricing. And some of the weirder ones were about the same, whatever. Mm-hmm. But vitamin D, I think it was 5 times the cost. Yeah. Just to have it be part of this package or have, that label on it. And I'm sure his ingredients are more pure and they're not just sourced from the same thing. Definitely not.
Yeah.
So the people who don't know about vitamins already can so easily be tricked into the he's the only one who could give this to me. I couldn't get these separately or, just not bother because they probably have no actual effect on my health.
I feel like the unregulated nature of supplements really feeds into his Renaissance man going against the grain of it all. Yes. The hero, the outsider narrative, bucking the trend, bravery, all of these things. And
it's natural. It's holistic.
Yeah. And he's the one that really actually cares. And because dysfunctional medicine and the FDA, of course, won't approve his special blend of things. Oh, because they don't, regulate supplements. Him giving them to us as an unregulated, form is actually just very on brand.
He's a rebel.
Yeah.
He's going to change the world.
No, because he's not allowed to. Yes, because the people, the FDA, the whomever, are keeping him down. So he's the Renaissance man for the everyman, really.
Thank goodness RFK has Mark in his corner.
Right. And it's not just dysfunctional medicine as a whole that, opposes him. It's actually the American Academy of Family Physicians that says that Mark and his functional medicine lack supporting evidence, including harmful and dangerous treatments. So this is its official position, which again, just proves that Mark is really
trustworthy.
Yeah, that's definitely what it means. There's so many. There's a bunch of language on, like quackery for his stuff.
Quackery was coming to mind because I did a scan on Wikipedia just to remind me of all the accomplishments he has.
Yeah.
And it's a really good sign when you're in health and medicine and quackery has a line on your Wikipedia outing you as being dangerous. That has to be noted on your bio.
And at the top, right? It's not like, controversies subtitle, that. No. It's at the top.
Yep, he's flagged, so
right.
But I don't trust that science stuff. Why would I?
Right.
It's not been proven to do anything good, I'm pretty sure.
Oh
God, that hurts. That hurts because people really think that.
He has his own origin story, how everybody does. Similar to both Callie and Cassie Means, who we've talked about, and their foot soldiering for RFK. He found his way to functional medicine in a similar, health journey, health crisis. I feel like his was kind of the opposite. He went to China for a year and then came back feeling sick and fatigued and things. I feel like people getting into like not Western medicine usually go to an East Asian country and are like transformed.
Yeah.
But him, no.
Us Americans are doing it wrong.
We rely on medication. But him, opposite. I love this portion in the New York Times article. They say he comes back and he starts a new job as the medical director at Canyon Ranch, which is a wellness retreat and spa in Lenox, Massachusetts. And during that time that he was there, he met a biochemist named Jeffrey Bland, who sold supplements, published a journal, and held seminars on ways to integrate messages from massage therapists, acupuncturists, and dietitians into a more personalized practice of medicine. And dietitians are in there, which is a problem because we're the ones that are always like taking big food money, right?
Right.
So
how can you trust them?
Exactly. But the quote in New York Times, my favorite, Dr. Hyman says of this Dr. Bland, I listened to him and I was like, either this guy's full of bullshit or he's a genius.
You had the two pathways there. So clear in front of you.
And I think the answer is both. Full of shit and a genius for being able to peddle it to people who will buy his supplements.
I do wonder if people believe what they're selling.
Same. I have those questions. Like, is there a Discord channel for Mark Hyman? Yes, like a Discord channel for like him, Dr. Will Cole, Jillian Michaels, all of these people where they just talk about how they are ripping people off. And here's the next buzzword that I'm going to use. Let's start doing this. And we're going to,
It's just snake oil to me. And I assume most, if not all of the people in that snake oil selling know that it does nothing and don't care.
The don't care piece. Yeah. Wild.
But being very loud, perhaps being a white man.
Maybe on horseback.
On horseback. I guess it just gives you more credibility, perhaps.
Yeah. And it's way more lucrative, right? And I assume it's also just way more fun.
True. Yeah, because like think of all the people he's gotten to meet, things he got to participate in. If he was just a regular old family doctor,
right,
you'd never get that.
You'd have money, but not this much money. Yeah. Speaking, you totally hit the nail on the head with the fun things he's gotten to do. One of the things he's, gotten to do was a whitewater rafting trip with RFK Jr. Like, who wouldn't want that?
How lucky.
Yeah. It's a bonding experience for the two of them.
That's beautiful.
And that was the beginning of their bond. Like, and yes, then they go on to write books and collaborate. together.
Good for them, though. Good for them.
No, it's good.
Bonding, finding hobbies to do together.
Everybody needs a bromance, you know?
Yeah.
Being open, vulnerable. Yes. Another functional medicine and Mark Hyman, like hallmark is, the chelation, the concern about, mercury and everything.
Yeah.
How we need detoxification.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a buzzword. When I hear the mercury pieces, I think back to my dad, who has told me multiple times that in science class, when they were learning about like temperature and thermometers, how he would just roll the mercury back and forth in his hands.
Oh my God.
They dump it out and then just like, because it's got that little whatever property. It just rolls around.
Yeah. It's like,
whatever.
It's fine.
Yeah, so they would mess around with that. I would say that my dad at 70, almost 8, would be an again person. Like, we're trying to be like him if we're, going to be healthy growing up. And what?
And the science, quote unquote, science that Mark is cherry picking would suggest that your dad should not be kicking.
Or, alive. Or, he would for sure have autism.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he would have developed autism because that's how it works. Turns out, not the case.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird. Mark thinks, okay, sorry. Let me, we'll just apologize for my discussion previously of autism because he doesn't believe there's such a thing. Rather, there are autisms. Okay. Different patterns of biological dysfunction unique to each child that result in multiple insults to the brain that all manifest with symptoms we call autism.
Is he suggesting there's a spectrum? Hold up.
Wait a second.
I thought it was one problem that everyone fit into the same category exactly, precisely.
Wow. Good. That's a good one. Nice one. And we've, gotten at least one video of him saying that gluten causes autism. I love and will, always mention that in the again portion, the same comparison is always made to Europe as a continent and comparing ourselves to them because they're healthier, where they definitely don't eat any wheat. They don't eat gluten. So
bread has not been a staple. Pasta has not been a staple.
No.
None of that has been part of their diet.
One of the reasons they're
historically.
Historically, ever. No. Ever. There's no wheat products over there.
Prove it. I mean, come on, prove it.
True, right? Or it's a different gluten.
It's got to be it's different. It hasn't been affected by big food yet.
That's it.
And what is the mechanism for gluten causing autism? Is it like your microbiome? Yeah,
it's probably that whole leaky gut situation. Something leaks in. I really need an episode on this. It leaks in or leaks out. I don't know. And it leaks all the way to your brain. Is that how it works?
I think that's what they mean when they say the gut brain connection, right? That's it.
Okay, we definitely need an episode on gut health. Per Trampus's discussion of gut health and gut, we definitely need to wrap around to where things are leaking to from, and then the autism part of my brain that either gets activated or not by the gluten that is leaked.
It's just waiting. Autism is guys, look out. It's waiting. It's lurking in there. It could happen at any moment.
Mercury, any vaccine, gluten. Yeah. He loves a clickbait, like first carousel, tile or slide on Instagram. One of my favorites recently, new research reveals that females sleep less, wake up more often, and experience less restorative sleep than males. What is that?
I mean, I can think of a few reasons.
Well, the language to me, I was like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, are you talking about women? Oh, and then we go on to a study of male and female mice. So the people in the comments are like, gender roles and motherhood for sure. But like, what a wild way to just grab our attention. Female mice,
right.
slept 1 hour less per day compared to males. Their sleep was more fragmented. Stress hormones like cortisol and sex hormones may play a role. I love the word may. I should use it more often.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not.
You do the research. I'll give you the idea. You decide.
And I'll sell you something to solve it based on that may. No, it's great. It's wild. Yes. I have sent you multiple things that just are so confusing. It's also really chaotic. Sometimes they'll be taken down because the whole post will not match the caption.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a couple of those myself where they remembered to change the first picture, but then the rest of it doesn't have anything to do with it. I feel like one was about why fasting is good for you.
Yeah.
But then the rest of it had nothing to do with fasting, at least. And
no, it was
contradictory in some spots.
Things to eat for breakfast, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. And I was like, okay. And then there was one that was on sleep, and then the whole thing below was on dopamine. And it was like, all right, Mark, I don't know who you're paying, but it seems like you could afford somebody better to be doing your content. But
he's not going to give more of his money away. Jeez.
That's a good
Someone should be happy to work for him and get that exposure.
Exposure is fantastic. Yes. He might sneeze on them without a mask at some point. They should just be grateful for that exposure. Oh, he was on the congressional roundtable that Kara, when she was talking about MSG, discussed, that I've brought up around Make America Healthy Again with Jillian Michaels and her speech. Mark was there. Yes. He was his primary concern was cancer, and cancer was caused by big food.
There was also no cancer.
Again.
They were drowning.
Right. Before big food.
People didn't die of cancer. And it has nothing to do with our ability to screen for cancer and determine why someone died.
No.
Nothing like that. Jeez.
Yeah, he talked about people getting cancer earlier and earlier. Now that we know that we can. But also genetic screening and all these things that we've got.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm I guess I would believe, if I were a senator with no science or health experience, I would believe this doctor who was doctor for the Clintons.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. I would be the weird one to question him.
Yeah. And how dare you do anything that suggests you don't want to help people with cancer and reduce it? Because that's what you would be doing, right? If you told him he's wrong.
Therefore, I think people should have cancer. Yeah. Doctor for the Clintons.
So weird.
It is.
Why are rich people so freaking weird?
I would say because they saw him on Oprah, but he is one of the few who has not been.
Not yet.
The Cleveland Clinic is my guess. And that was another article that was the Cleveland Clinic has gone chaotic, basically, and is, involved in quackery and things that are not true. I was that wouldn't feel good to be a medical center and said as much of. But I mean, maybe, they got him from a well-respected clinic that is apparently problematic as well. But
yeah.
My favorite Mark fact is that he was part of the trio that developed the Daniel Plan. I was introduced to this through a client of mine and had not heard about it. The Daniel Plan is a practical lifestyle program designed to improve your health at every level. Our program is made up of the Daniel Plan essentials: faith, food, fitness, focus, and friends.
Okay. All right.
Yep. In the first year of the Daniel Plan, over 15,000 people from 190 countries participated. They started sleeping better. Daniel Plan is based on the biblical book of Daniel.
That's a great source. to go to.
When I'm looking for, yes, science and information, health information.
Yeah.
My understanding of Christianity is sadly not as robust as Jeopardy would like it to me. But I got the book of Daniel is like apocalypse oriented. So,
yeah, I'm not going to pretend I know much. I know surface level.
Yeah.
If that. But that is very interesting.
So, 40 Days to a Healthier Life, the trio of Rick Warren, Dr. Daniel Amen, which is how I'm going to say it. I don't know. It could be Amen or whatever. We're going to go Amen. And Dr. Mark Hyman. Yes. Abundance, not deprivation, transformational and sustainable. It's great.
Okay. All right.
Yep. The plan involves eating vegetables and water instead of meat and wine. It seems like the revolutionary, eat more fruits and vegetables, eat more vegetarian meals, less meat, for 40 days.
I don't know. I've seen some carnivore content on TikTok that would suggest otherwise.
And raw carnivore, raw meat.
Oh, I just pictured the clip I had to watch 100 times editing. The
raw chicken thigh. You're welcome.
It's terrible.
So we've got his friend, Dr. Daniel Amen, who is America's most popular psychiatrist and, of course, the CEO of a bunch of clinics. Yeah. He's got a Scan My Brain podcast on YouTube. He's had the Korn guitarist on. Recently, he had Hugh Hefner's widow.
What?
Korn founder and guitarist.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to hear what he has to say.
Don't you? I figured you did. Hugh Hefner's widow.
Sure.
She was talking about mold exposure in the Playboy Mansion.
That's fascinating.
It actually is. I was like, I feel bad that actually I want to listen. I'm not gonna, but I kind of want to.
Yeah. Yeah. There's probably a story of it somewhere else.
Fair. Yes. We can just Google that.
People we can actually support, you know?
Yeah. We've got YouTuber Jeff Wittick. No idea who he is.
Me either.
Range of people, but then also Leanne Rimes and Raven Simone recently.
What you doing?
It's just, is this what happens to rich people? Like, you believe other rich people who are popular? Is that it?
I guess so.
I don't know.
I'm trying to imagine, like,
weird. It's really weird.
I can imagine child stars also.
Oh,
something a little wired wrong. Not by their own fault by any means.
No, that's really...
They've been pushed into situations that children just shouldn't have to do. Or
and relationships.
Yeah.
With different.
So I wonder if that makes them more susceptible to this stuff.
Interesting. Something to explore.
Yeah.
And then the Saddleback Church is the third in the trio of folks who created the Daniel Plan.
The Trinity, if you will.
The Trinity, if you will. Yes. A lot of Southern California based campuses for this church. They've got their, food, faith in God, and how we're just, again, making ourselves into our better versions for God.
This is very blue zones.
Good point. Yes. Yeah.
Is it Seventh-day Adventist?
Yes. So functional medicine to wellness retreat to Jesus. Like, what is this guy? Like, the constellation, also autisms. There cannot be an explanation for this other than either A, making money, or B, delusion. Like, do you just wake up and say yes or make up stuff? Is that like you jump out of bed and like hear a trend and decide to make a supplement?
It almost feels like he started with a population and then expanded to like the next level each time. Like, the people that will pay to go to a place like this for the retreat, whatever. Oh, they're mostly Christians. okay, so let me expand my bubble to Christianity. And then it's like, okay, the people who are Christians and following the certain diet and want these certain things and values, let's expand that bubble to RFK supporters or something. Like, I guess that's the goal of all money-making things, right?
Yes. So, yes, we are one day removed from banning of red dye number 3. And because I was keeping an eye on Mark and keeping an eye on RFK Jr. and the maha of it all, I started to see some like crossover posts with those two. And then with Food Babe on social media, Vani, probably Hari, along with Jillian Michaels and then Eva Mendes. And I was confused. Like how, what is getting all of these folks together? Kellogg's, particularly Fruit Loops. Like I am drawing the connection between Fruit Loops and yesterday's announcement about red dye number 3.
Okay.
Dozens of people in October rallied outside the Michigan headquarters of W.K. Kellogg and Company, demanding that the company remove artificial dyes from its breakfast cereals. Apparently, part of the problem was that Kellogg's announced a decade ago that it would remove these dyes by 2018.
I was gonna say, I thought they had done that because, like, the cereals I see on the shelf that I ate as a kid are much less vibrant at this point. So yeah, okay. So they were supposed to, and I guess they haven't done it with all of them.
No, and then how did people decide to pick this one up? There's so many just opportunities and options out there for people to get like super ramped up and tell their followers that they're fighting the good fight for the people. Yeah. I'm fascinated by this one. If somebody out there knows, feel free to reach out and let me know. Activists were delivering petitions with more than 400,000 signatures asking Kellogg's to remove artificial dyes and BHT from their cereals. But the people were up in arms about this one thing about food. It's wild to me that people are not this up in arms about like food stamps or something like that. I was
going to say, shouldn't we be making sure, especially kids, are getting enough food before we decide that this one ingredient in some foods, probably not even that many, is worth our time and energy?
So much time and so much energy. And again, a boycott. Eva Mendes decided, to announce her boycott, as did Food Babe. And I'm like, girl, you have never, or at least have not recently purchased this. They're going to lose $0 because of your boycott. I feel pretty strongly that the people following Food Babe were not the Kellogg cereal purchasers in the first place.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty safe to say.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident in that one. So what I got from this display is that it was an easy thing. It was something that Kellogg's already had promised to do. So it wasn't probably outside of the realm of possibility to get a win on this. Jillian and Mark, as we know, are already selling their own supplements that, of course, might cause the cancer that red dye number 3 is supposed to do in rats in amounts that are beyond what a human would ever eat. Yeah. This one was hard for me because I don't care about like if you take it out, if it never enters the marketplace, like I'm not really invested. And the FDA listening to a group of influencers and removing it is such like a red flag. Such a red flag number 3.
Red number 3 flag.
Yep.
That's a great point. It sets like a precedent.
Yeah.
That these voices can make a change. And, voices making a change is a good thing sometimes.
Right. Like, and which voices now? Like, because how are they feeling now that they have this win? Like, what is next? What's next? Fluoride in our water? Oh, maybe. It's interesting to talk about grifters in a, ridiculous and fun way, which to me, trust me, just because he introduced himself to me made me laugh so hard and everything after that. So I do have a good time like with this, and what a world we are entering. Like,
yeah. I think the comedy is what makes the fear approachable. It's like I could avoid looking at all of this stuff altogether because it hurts so much to see what is coming out of it. So if I make jokes, I can at least like know what's going on without,
crying,
just spiraling. Yeah.
without weeping like openly.
Yeah.
I feel like if I had done this series like a year or two ago, it just would have been fun and interesting.
Yeah.
I did not see this coming at all. And so, with the red dye, the precedent has just been set for the FDA to pick and choose what science it wants to follow and what science it wants to ignore, which is wild. I mean, does that mean we can enlist other celebrities to become food influencers and like advocate for more food stamps? Like, where and what?
That's where setting that precedent could be good because, grassroots movements being picked up by celebrities, it can be a really good way to get information out there.
I think of also like Kim Kardashian getting somebody off death row. Like, there are ways that celebrity can be used for good.
Yeah.
And then ignoring science.
What a strange sentence. Sorry, I just...
The things that we're saying in 2025 are never things that I thought I would say.
Yeah. So like where do we go from here? Who's our celebrity backers?
Yeah. I mean, how are we recruiting? Yes, I like that. Because, is that just going to be how we fight ridiculousness? Is getting our own, like, safe and sane celebrities and doctors?
It does feel pretty fitting that the upcoming president was a celebrity first, right? Like, I know businessman, blah, blah, blah. But, like, people know his name. People my age know his name, I think, from what's the show called?
The Apprentice.
The Apprentice, yeah. So if a celebrity is the one kind of at the tip top there, why wouldn't celebrities be the people that are pulling other strings?
And so math-wise, our friend Mark, he has been in Oprah magazine, but I don't think he has met her. Is that 1 degree? Is that 2 degrees? Is that 1.5 degrees?
I see where the math is coming in now.
I don't know.
Maybe something like an honorary degree,
An honorary Oprah.
1 honorary degree away from Oprah.
Like the celebritization of medicine and policy is totally, like, you just totally put a name to that because of Trump. And this will be coming out a few days after his inauguration. So,
God.
Let me make one follow-up connection. The foodfluencers are incredibly mad about the influence of big food on all of this. So it is their influence that has gotten this dye removed. So who are they? Big food influencers? We need a big in front of these people because their lobbying is how we got to be where it is. And all of these like foods and drugs with Red 3 have until January 18th, 2028. Like, it's not, I get that you need some time, but that doesn't seem like that great of a win.
Of time.
If it was an actual concern for cancer, I feel like that would be tomorrow that it would need. Yeah. It's good times out there. In
strange times.
Yeah. And hopefully all of us are just getting a little bit smarter day by day.
Yeah.
Hopefully this will be the best party, the best learning party. What is that? Best study group? I don't know.
I do appreciate just learning so much from the people you talk to and the things you bring to my attention. So
good times as always. I'll bring you back. I've got Dr. Will Cole in the queue, Goop Doctor.
I did download all of his guides from his website. So he need those for me now. Because you brought him up and I was like, I got to go look at this guy.
Yeah, he was brand new. Now I'm getting all of his advertisements on social media. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So he could be coming up, the woman who does women specific nutrition.
Okay.
Women are not small men. That person. She'll be in here too.
Interesting. Looking forward to it.
And if folks have other ideas, or people they would like us to dive into, feel free to send them over. It'll be a good time.
Yeah. We love a rabbit hole here.
Okay.
For sure.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks again to Jen for coming on the show, and I can't wait to have her back for future Re-Grifting. Sunday, January 19th, following this conversation, Mark posted a letter to his followers. It begins, "To my friends and family, I hope this message finds you in good health." And then there's 6 Instagram squares of text. It's a call to action to support RFK Jr. at his eventual confirmation hearing and begins with these 3 paragraphs. "Today, I am writing with a call to action. This moment in time feels like no other. A time clouded by judgments of opposing perspectives where genuine listening has become scarce, curiosity has been stifled. But none of the above defines science," in quotation marks. So, quote, science. "Science is the systematic observation and testing of established assumptions. It is the ability to sit with the discomfort of the unknown and the humble inquiry required to rigorously and continuously reevaluate our cultural or scientific beliefs." He goes on to say that there are few people I know who embody the essence of science as a verb more authentically than Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Over 2 decades of working alongside him, I have witnessed a man whose integrity is unwavering, whose critical inquiry is profound, and whose commitment to justice is unrelenting. You can read the rest on his Instagram. Mark's call to action is to sign a petition which seems to be counter-programming to the 77 Nobel laureates who wrote a letter last year urging the U.S. Senate to reject RFK Jr. as Trump's nominee for Health and Human Services Secretary, saying that he's unfit and could put American health in jeopardy. And, well, this and RFK is a whole other episode. We'll end here, and I'll remind everyone to make it awkward in 2025 and to find joy where you can. You can support the show by joining the Patreon, leaving a comment on Spotify or YouTube, or a review on Apple Podcasts will bring my dad back to the show to read them. This has been Making It Awkward. I'm Jessica Wilson. This show is edited by the functional Jen Jacobs and supported by Patreon members and the legacy of Sacramento Outboard Services.